So at this point, I'd like to say a few things about sitting in this way on the floor. You don't have to sit on the floor. That's point number one is this is optional, and any way you sit is fine, and not sitting at all, lying down would be fine, or standing on your head. But there are certain virtues to grounding yourself sitting on the floor. But of course, you'll notice I'm not sitting on the floor. I'm sitting on something that's actually providing a good deal of padding for my knees and my legs, wherever they would be contacting the bare wood. And this thing is called in Japanese a zabuton. It's basically just a large cushion. And then I'm sitting on a cushion which is called the zafu, so that my pelvis is rooted on the zafu. And because I'm not sitting on the top of this thing like that, but I'm sitting on the forward part of it, my pelvis naturally tilts forward. Okay, it's a forward tilting rotation, which allows my spine to actually have that natural lordotic curve come out of the pelvis and right through the lumbar vertebrae and the thoracic vertebrae and the cervical vertebrae and right through the top of the head. So the entire spine is positioned so that it can do its natural curves that optimally carry the head and the body on the pelvic girdle and the entirety of the legs and feet, of course. You can pull pillows off the couch. If they're a little too squishy, you can fold them over. I mean, there are a lot of different ways to get your pelvis up so that the above your knees. And then you may find like the knees are like this. And it's like, hey, how do you get them down here? By practicing, by sitting like this a lot. And by doing the yoga that we'll also be engaging in, gradually the musculature in here that's keeping your knees up here will get the message and extend itself and lengthen and relax to the point where you can comfortably sit like this. Now, this may be a kind of acquired art, that sitting on the floor like this may be uncomfortable for you, and you can play with it to whatever degree you like, but if the discomfort gets to be too much, please sit on a chair, okay? The real meditation practice doesn't have anything to do with how the body is configured. The most important thing is that when you take your seat, whether it's on a chair or whether it's on the floor, that you establish yourself, however you care to do it and whatever these words mean to you, in a posture that embodies wakefulness and dignity. Like if I'm sitting like this, how alert does that seem to you? Do I seem like at my most balanced sitting like this? Obviously not. I'm falling forward. I mean, if I wasn't catching myself, gravity would take me down and fall on my face. If I was leaning back like this, I'd be falling backwards. If I was leaning this way. So to take one's seat is to actually find a way to actually be really balanced so that one's not falling forward, one's not falling backward. And the muscles of the body are exquisitely designed to do this, so that rather than being tense, they just have their natural tone, but they're in exquisite balance from side to side and from front to back. And so what you're doing is you're creating a friendly environment to stabilize the body so that you can drop in and experience life unfolding in this moment, in this posture. And then there's a whole range of different things you can do with your hands. Even looking at it from a distance, just look at my body and my hands in particular. Does this convey something different from this? Does this convey something different from this? Does this convey something different from all those other ones? How about this? So does this feel closed or open compared to this? This obviously is like more open, receptive. If I turn the hands down, sort of more like self-contained energy. Okay, don't need any more from up here, thank you very much. So all of these different positions of the hands, which are called mudras, have a certain kind of signature to them, an energy signature, proprioceptive signature, whatever you want. And they can actually help you tune your meditation practice or your intention before you take your seat. And I'll just stress that the meditations we're doing in this class are long for a reason. You're supposed to get bored and uncomfortable. Working through boredom and discomfort is part of the curriculum. But the most important thing is that you come to it with a kind of intentionality and really that it's a radical act to take your seat at all. It's actually a radical act of sanity to get off the train of constant doing and just take a few moments at least to drop into being and maybe even explore through awareness and through thought. Who's doing all this doing? And why? It's a radical act. I mean, to do this, not to sit down, but to wake up. We sit down all the time, but we don't sit down with the intention to wake up. And it's not like now I'm going to strive to wake up once I've sat down. Maybe sitting down actually is being awake if you come to it with this intentionality, that you're already awake. Again, there's no place to go, nothing to do, nothing to attain. You're already here. This is it. There's a certain way in which lying down meditation doesn't get probably as much attention as it deserves, given how powerful it can be. Now, this is probably nowhere near enough cushioning for many of you. So you may want to get several of these and pile them on top of each other, or something softer and more foam-like, thick rug lying on your living room carpet. You can do this in something comfortable that lets you recline or be most at ease, because sitting's hard, and for many people, much harder. So I'm going to actually walk you through a little bit of what is involved in lying down meditations. And I tell you, these meditations are absolutely wonderful. For one, we do an awful lot of lying down in our lives because we usually sleep in the horizontal position, and sleeping is very important. But actually taking time, rather than to fall asleep, to fall awake, and training oneself to fall awake in this position is really powerful. Now, if you feel uncomfortable and it's helpful to bend your knees and put your feet flat on the floor, that takes an awful lot of pressure off of the lumbar spine, the lower back. And so every once in a while, if you want to do that, and we'll get into that more when we do mindful hatha yoga and play around with some pelvic tilts like this. But for now, as best you can, however you can, lying down in a posture that feels right to you. And I'll just say right now that falling asleep is an occupational hazard of all lying down meditation practices. So we have to actually train ourselves and learn how to fall awake when we come to that fork in the road where one way is sleep and the other way is more and more awake, but at the same time, more and more present. So we're not striving or forcing wakefulness, we're just naturally falling awake with the same kind of ease that we could easily fall asleep. So in lying down meditations, it's very often helpful to start by just feeling the body lying here and we can feel being supported by whatever surface we're on. One of the reasons I like lying on the floor is because you can really feel the places where the floor meets the body and holds it up, whether it's the heels or the buttocks or the broad expanse of the upper back or the back of the head. And of course, the arms. And so it means we don't have to actually do any work. We can let the floor do all the work, or whatever surface we're lying on, do the work of holding us up. And we can invite ourselves to release any kind of bracing or any kind of tension that we may have brought to getting down on the floor. And then the invitation is to simply fall awake in what's technically called in yoga the corpse pose. And it's said that of all the 84,000 mainstream yoga poses, and there are 10 variants of each, so that would make 840,000 yoga poses, it's said that the corpse pose is by far the most difficult. Because what's really involved in the corpse pose, as is implied by the name, is dying in a very special way. We're inviting ourselves to die to the future and die to the past, and therefore actually wake up into the present moment, which is the only moment we actually ever have for learning, growing, healing, transformation, for expressing love. Whatever it is, this is it. This is that only moment.